everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Violet, this is Violet Tries Panning. In today's video, I wanted to kind of sit down to chat with you guys, kind of brainstorm and get your feedback, as well as kind of talk about some panning goals for next year, or panning projects I might want to participate in. Excuse my hair, I just ate, so I pulled it back. I have no lip color because it goes away with food, and I didn't really care to fix all that for this video. We're sitting down, we're just going to chit chat, we're going to talk, so let's get into it. I have been kind of thinking about panning projects that I want to do next year. Now, it's kind of loose idea because I sporadically wanted to get back into panning this year, like 3-4 months into it. Overwhelmed myself with probably 6 different projects. One I decided to make of my own. It was 24 in 2024, project 10 uses, deck of panning, pan that palette. So like it was a whole bunch of them. And I only stuck with one. Kind of 2, but the 24 and 2024, which is kind of like very laid back. It's not really like important. I mostly stuck with the deck of panning and stuck to updates, and so I've been thinking and write some notes down or some like possible panning projects that seem, I guess, doable for me, or that sounds interesting to me, I guess, in this moment. The first one, actually 2 of these is kind of an idea ran back by DW, who started this Panner's Paradise. As of filming, she just started it probably a couple days ago. When this video goes up, I think it's probably already been a month, the first update or so. 2 of these are kind of piggybacking off of that because I had never heard of them before. First one is, I'm not sure who started this. I will do my best to link them in the description box. Anybody I mention or any project I mention who created it. But this first one is called Roll a Dice. It's not called, it's basically you roll a dice for how many looks you're going to create within that given palette you pick out. So it's kind of like, 4 looks, 1 palette, 1 month, 1 palette sort of thing. But of course the dice is either 1 to 6. So you could create just 1 look with the palette, or you could go all out and do 6 looks with 1 palette. The next one is called Pan the Alphabet. I believe this one is in reference to the names of the palettes. So example, I pull out the Anastasia Subculture. I believe you go by the brand name. So you would start from your A palette, or palettes brand starting with A and then going all the way to Z. And you would, I guess, focus on panning those palettes, or just focus on using all the shades in that palette. I'm not exactly too sure about that one, but I was thinking to kind of make a little twist to it. So instead of going with the alphabet on the brand name or the palette name, you would open up a palette and you would go the alphabet within the shade name. So it's kind of like palette bingo, palette roulette, kind of like this, but kind of not. So that one, I think it might just be like a random thing whenever I need some sort of inspiration to do an eyeshadow look, not necessarily a project. Another one, I was thinking maybe project 10 pan, where I grab a palette, I use it 10 times, or I use each of the shades 10 times, or I use one specific shade 10 times, just something like that maybe. And then this one I wrote randomly, I don't know, which came into my head. I called it 1 pan per palette. Aim to have 1 pan in every palette, but I feel like that might already be a project. I don't know, it could somewhere exist, but I just kind of wanted to see if I was able to attempt getting pans in my palettes, because as of now, I don't think any of my palettes have pans. I think I used to have a palette, but I decluttered it, so that's where that came. And then DW Panner's Paradise is, like I mentioned earlier, it's a combination of a bunch of different panning projects, just kind of into one master list. And then I also did, I wrote down redoing No Pan Left Behind, or maybe to finish it, because I did sort of start it unintentionally this year. I've been keeping track of I have all my palettes, I have all of the shades, I mark off which I've used, which I haven't used, just kind of have that in like the back of my head. That's also like a loose thing that I started probably a couple months ago. There's also a deck of panning, which I could continue on with that one. I think it's fun. I do like picking cards, I do like the randomization of it, I do like the prompts of it as well, but I don't know if maybe I want to just get into something completely different to kind of like keep a spark, I guess, going, and to not really like tire myself out of the same project again the second year sort of in a row. or I could also go back to having just a set number of products to use, kind of like the 24 and 2024, but except maybe just do a handful, 5 or less, or a little bit more, just kind of depending on what I have in my collection that I feel like should be worth finishing, or that I might want to finish or close to finishing. So then I also had at the very top Modified Pan That palette. This one I was thinking about because I have the like OG Jaclyn Hill Volume 1 palette, like before they reformulated it and they like changed the look of it, because the new one now does not look anything like this. I think the pans look smaller, there's more room in between. So I have like the original, which I love this palette. I love the formula, I love the shades, I love that it's big, I love that it's got options. So I was thinking to sort of do a modified Pan That palette where I try and use all of the shades in here 10 times. As you can see, this is a very, very early sneak peek. If I even continue on with it next year, that I'm already getting use off of a lot of these shades. All these little dots on here is how many times I've used each shade. Can I speak? No. So that's the idea I was kind of thinking with the Modified Pan That palette. And the last one I was also thinking of is Project Level Up. This one, it sounds kind of scary in terms of like sticking with a palette. It could be for a long time, and that's what scares me, because I don't want to see a palette for more than maybe a couple of months. I get real bored, real tired, but I think that would be also a fun challenge to, like, if I don't know what sort of eyeshadow to create or what kind of look to create that day, I pull that palette out and then I'm forced to create another look out of it and see how many looks I create. I think like that's also what interests me too. Basically, Project Level Up is in levels of 1 through 5. So example, level 1, if you're not familiar with it, which I'm sure you've heard of it, but level 1, you use each of the shades 1 time, and then you hit 1 pan, and then you're able to level up. So you go to the next level, level 2, use all the shades in the palette 2 times, and then hit 2 pans. So kind of thinking about that, I would again stick with this palette because I think as of right now it is probably my oldest, if not one of my oldest, and I have neglected this one for a while, and I kind of want to get use off of it, at least enough use to, I guess, justify still keeping. I mean, it's not like I'm decluttering it, because this year I have managed to declutter a lot of palettes that just didn't serve a purpose or happiness in my collection, and this one I always go back to. It's another palette that just seems to have a hold on me. I definitely want to get use off of this one. I definitely want to see within a given year, I mean not just Project Level Up, but just a given year, how many looks can I create out of this. That's kind of the kind of talk I wanted to sit down and have with you guys. Definitely this would be my focus palette, if anything, for next year. I'm not too sure where I want to take it, what I want to do, but if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. I would love to chit chat with you guys and kind of, you know, get your feedback. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye, guys.